Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at the Alpha. The Alpha is brought to you by Games by Bicycle. It's for 3 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, and games range anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes. Resources have been scarce this year. Wolf packs from far and wide have descended on the lush northern forest in search of food. Tensions are high as packs compete for food, territory, and alpha status. In the alpha, players will control a pack of hungry wolves hunting for food. In each round of the game, players will send their pack members to hunt various regions of the forest. The players with the most wolves in a region will become the dominant pack and will have greater opportunity to collect food from a successful hunt. The player or wolf pack with the most food at the end of the 5 rounds wins the game. Now, based on the player count, we'll determine how many regions you're going to set up. But this main board will track all your food, and food is points in this game. And at the top of the board is where you'll track your rounds or weeks, and there are 5. And then at the top of the board is where the deep forest is. These are the larger region tiles where you can potentially get more food. Below is the near forest. These are the smaller tiles, a little bit easier to get food. And then on the main board, you're also going to track your injured and healing wolves. Now, all the regions will have a dice, except for the scavenge regions. They're just going to net you a food, basically. But the one that's interesting is this livestock region. We'll take a closer look at all the regions in a minute, but livestock is definitely a push your luck kind of area. Only one wolf can be there at any one time. And you do have the potential of being shot by the farmer and taken out. So you are definitely risking a wolf trying to get the high reward of 12 food from this region. Each player will take their player board or the den where you'll be storing all your wolves. And this also is a handy reference guide for when you're dealing with conflicts in the game, and we'll get to that. Each player also receives a token for fight or share. And this is going to be a secret thing that you do in the game and then reveal, which we'll get to as well. And that's really the basics of setup, and then you're really ready to play. Now, there are 5 rounds or 5 weeks to every game. And your quest here again, your goal is to get the most food by the end. Now, you have 5 phases to every round, and the first player or the alpha player will be kicking things off. So these phases are very thematic to what you're doing, and you're all going to be participating in these phases as you move through the game. So the first phase is stalking your prey. And then second, you're going to be trying to establish dominance in an area. And then you're going to be giving chase to that prey. And then finally resolving that particular region, and then advancing the clock and hopefully healing any wolves that have been damaged or attacked in a particular round. So in this first phase of stalking, you're going to be placing your wolves into regions. And the important thing to note here is that you have wolves, beta wolves, and you have a pair of alpha wolves. Alpha wolves will count as 2, and all your beta wolves count as 1. Numbers matter in a region when you're trying to establish dominance. So you'll go in turn order, placing one out across all the different regions. Now, all the regions in the near forest are going to be just easily placed with no penalties or so forth. However, the livestock, as we mentioned before, it can only ever have 1 wolf in it. But all the other regions can have multiple wolves and packs trying to basically get dominance in that area in order to get the food reward. But if you're going to be placing packs into these larger tiles, there's a couple things of note. So in the deep forest, it's going to take you longer to get there. So it's going to cost you food for every wolf that you put out into the region. So there's a couple other things here though, that you're trying to establish dominance, but these larger tiles, the moose and the bison, you have to have at least 5 wolves there in order to bring down these beasts. And it can be a combination of your wolves and other players' wolves. But again, you're trying to have the most wolves in that area so you can get the benefit of the food. Now, if there's ties, we'll take a look at what conflicts do in a minute. But you can tie as well, and then you have to fight for the food, and bad things happen and so forth. But if you have any wolves that are injured, you cannot be placing them into the regions. You have to wait till they're fully healed and back to the den. So that's really what you're doing in this first round. You're going Each player will go in turn and place their wolves in the different regions, hoping to gain dominance in this next phase. So phase 2 is simply looking at the different regions and counting how many wolves are there, and then what wolves have the dominance, what colored wolves have the most. And also checking for ties, which we'll take a look at in a minute what that does. And then thirdly, you're giving chase. You're basically rolling the dice for the regions where there are wolves and determining how much food is available there. Now these dice are going to do a couple different things. So either you rolled and you get a number value and you get that amount of food. Or you roll an X. All your wolves worked together really hard, but they failed to bring down the creature. However, they can only wound the creature, which is a carrion value, a C, along with a number value, which shows a lesser amount of food that you might get from this region. So those are the main things you're going to get, but the interesting thing about the carrion is the fact that it is a wounded creature, and these tiles are double-sided, and you'll flip them over. When you do that, then the next round, you won't have to give chase because there'll just be food there to scavenge because the beast finally fail at some point. Important to note as well, if you went for the livestock and rolled that dice, if you hit a D, then your wolf has been eliminated and you'll remove it from the game completely, as well as you have potential of getting 3 or 12 food. The high reward, but there is definitely a push your luck element to that livestock tile. And so this fourth phase is just resolve. You're resolving the food that was captured by the wolves. And every pack that has dominance in a region is going to get that level or that number of food. And you'll move your wolf along the track those many spots. And then any areas that have ties are going to move to conflict. So if there's a conflict, you're looking at a region, there might be 3 packs that have even amount of wolves. And what you're going to do is take your token that says fight or share. You're going to secretly pick one side or the other and then reveal to all the players. Now, the thing here is that all kinds of different cases can happen. So if 2 players choose share and 1 player chooses fight, then the player that chose fight will win all the food. As well as if all the players choose share of all, then you're going to evenly distribute all the food. Now, if 2 players choose fight and 1 player chooses share, the 2 players that choose fight are going to have 2 wolves that are injured and move them to the injury section of the board, but the player that chose share is going to get all the food. So there's lots of different instances of how this might play out. If all the players choose fight, then all the food is lost. Then all the packs will lose 1 wolf to the injured spot of the board. And the final phase of the round is the advance, and it's kind of a cleanup as well. So you're going to advance the weak, but you're also going to take any wolves that are on the injured spot and move into healing, or healing will move back to your den, as well as moving the alpha player token to the next player in line. And it'll basically just be cleaning up the board, taking all your wolves off and putting them back in the den from all the different regions. And so you'll continue this way week after week or round after round until you hit the last round and total up the food to see who has the ultimate wolf pack. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview. Everything you've seen here is actually done and published. And the interesting thing is that Bicycle, who's typically known for making card games, is jumped into the board game arena with this one and another title as well. But this game is very light in strategy, but there's actually some fair amount of depth here and there as you play through the different weeks and rounds, and as you compete for those areas, it starts to be hotly contested. So there's a lot of interesting back and forth. And again, I really like the push your luck element of the livestock. I probably do that way more often than I should. But yeah, but ultimately, folks, though, if this looks like something that might be of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it for me. And until next time, we'll see you at the table.